Hey guys, it's Demaya. Welcome back to my channel. The video today is going to be a little on the heavier side. It's very awkward to talk about. Not awkward, just outside of talking to my therapist, I really don't talk about my feelings as much. I mean to my friends, but that's besides the point. I actually filmed a whole video right before this of me doing my makeup, but because I felt like it would be a little bit more personable and just like more relaxed, but it something seemed off. So I'm starting again, going through trauma again. But yeah. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Demaya. Like I said, we are going to be talking about losing my dad and how I've been navigating the grief. So let's get started. So a little bit about my dad. Obviously he was my dad. But he was I ain't playing that type of dude. He went hard about his kids. It was just me and my sister. But you know, he always adopted a kid. Like any one of my friends, like those is his kids now, like forever and always. Like when he passed, people reached out to me. It was like, no, not like, like your dad, I can't believe it. Like he really was like, my homeboy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was just loving. He was my best friend. My birthday is May 31st. I actually just turned 30, but that's neither here nor there. And his birthday is June 2nd. So I always used to say that I was his birthday present. So I never really had to get him anything, but obviously I did. He had actually moved down to live with my grandma when I was entering high school. So I had to navigate high school without my dad like actually here with me. Actually, no. He left the end of my 9th grade year, I believe. Yeah, the end of my 9th grade year. Because I was staying with him when I was a freshman. And then he ended up leaving to go live with my grandma, help her out, kind of just vibe with her down in Georgia. He just always told me not to always take things to heart. I definitely got being nonchalant from him. Not a bad nonchalant, but it's like a more so helping you out nonchalant. Even though I do break the code sometimes. But yeah. Yeah, we always were on the phone together, always, just talking. He always called me out on my BS, I can tell you that. Like, he was the person I could call and just be like, listen, like, let me tell you what happened. And he would go with my nonsense and then tell me about myself, or he'll just straight be like, Maya, no, like, that's not it, no. And I just loved it. I could sit on the phone and just be and not have to say anything, and then we'll go back in and be like, what you doing? What you eating? Where grandma? Like, So yeah. He passed last September 2nd to be exact. And it kind of just changed my outlook on things. It just changed my outlook on things. I remember it was very rushed, I felt, which was so weird because the day before I was like, me and my sister were on the phone with his doctor at different times, but they were just like, oh, we could try to do this, do that, just to try to get him back up because, like he wasn't mobile. He had a stroke, so it kind of like took away the, feeling in one of his legs. So it was, can't just get back up and just start walking, and it was, I don't know, it was just like the one day we were talking, and then the next it's like 5 o'clock in the morning and they're just like, hey, like your dad's not doing good. Is it okay if we give him morphine to help him go? And I'm just like, what? No, you can't give him morphine to help him go. Girl, tell him to stay. Like, what are you doing? So like I immediately, like, my heart's beating. Like, it literally felt like my heart could have jumped out my chest and like slapped me in my face. And I just called my sister and I'm just like boo crying. And I like woke my mom up and woke my sister up. My daughter's still asleep. Like, that girl don't care about nothing. But I was just crying. I just couldn't get myself together. Full blown panic attack. And I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Called my sister and she was like, tell them to give it to him. And I was just like, no. And she's like, Maya is going to help him. Give it to him. And I was just like, okay. Wanted to be selfish so bad. My dad was also a DNR patient. So he was just like, if you got to put me on any type of life support, just let me go. Just let me go. If it's going to hurt me, just let me go. So I had to honor that. And I told him to get the morphine. And we live in Jersey, so he was in Atlantic City at their hospital, which is about like a 40-minute ride from me. And my sister lives in PA, so I had to, like, I was going to drive myself. My mom's like, no, don't drive. You're not in the right headspace to drive, so just like wait for your sister. Sister came, she got me, we talked the whole ride. Still can't tell you till this day what we talked about. I just remember me just wanting to get to my dad. Like, I didn't care about anything. I didn't want to joke. Wasn't nothing funny. And we eventually got there and they're like, okay, like, y'all go wait in the waiting area. I'm not good with things like that. So my immediate thought is like, okay, maybe they were, like putting like a tube in or something. But once we got there, the doctor came in and she was like, hey, your dad passed about like 7 minutes before you got here. And I just broke. Like, now. I broke because like my best friend just left me. And I just knew he wasn't coming back. And I went in there. They're like, oh, do you want to see him? I'm like, yeah. But also I was like, no. But it's so weird because when you go to funerals and everything, you go up and you're like, that person's gone. Like, why are we going to, why are we going to see? It just felt so calm. It was so calm. And I remember just like crying when I walked in, obviously, and I gave him a kiss. Already cold. Like, I'm like, are y'all sure he just passed like a couple minutes ago? Because like, he should still be warm, or at least like that's my thought process. And I just sat and I looked at him and it just looked like he was sleeping. Like, he literally looked like he did every time I would walk in his room and he would sleep and I had to wake him up. But this time, like, I couldn't wake him up. And I just like sat and I just made the calls and I just told everybody. And it was just natural. Like, a part of me didn't even want to say anything because I just wanted to sit and just be. But my sister's like, just text everybody. You have everybody's number. Like, just text everybody. So I was like, okay. And I just texted everybody like, yeah, he's gone. Like, he's not here. And I know my uncle was like, oh, I knew. He was like, I felt off today. Like, I felt off. Like, I knew. And I was just like, oh, Mom, you should have told me before I got here. I literally went through so many waves of emotion that day. It was insane. Like, now the way back, me and my sister just chatted. We're like, oh, we got to get everything together, da da da. And then she's like, you taking Bubba to school? I'm like, yeah, I'm taking Bubba to school so I could cry peacefully. Because my daughter feels like every time I cry, she has to cry. I guess that's just her motive for being like, girl, what you crying for? Like, you don't need to cry, so I'm gonna just cry with you till you stop. So yeah. The day after, and probably about for like a month, it literally just felt like I opened my eyes and immediately somebody was sitting on me. It was very, very, very heavy. very heavy. And it's just like I kicked and I worked and I went to school and I worked, I went to school, I dropped my daughter off, I still had to be a mom, and things like that make you realize like life does not stop when you're grieving, when you're hurting, when you've been mistreated, nothing. And it was just like, dang, nobody cares about what I'm going through. But in reality, like, they don't, because it's not their grief, it's not their problem, it's not their people. So you kind of learn how to like work through it. And I didn't even have time to just like sit with myself, or I didn't feel like I had that time to sit with myself and sit with my emotions and sit with the silence, because immediately it's just phone calls. Well, when's the funeral? What are we gonna do? What's he gonna wear? Where's he gonna be buried at? Where? It was just too much. And I was just, at one point I told my sister, I was like, I don't care. Just make sure my dad looks fine and that he doesn't go out crazy. Like, genuinely, like, that's it, that's all. And she was just like, Maya, you can't do that. Like, you really have to sit your feelings aside and you got to do it. My sister lost her husband 8 years ago. Maybe it's 9 now. So she gets it. My sister has been and lost people close, like very close to her. So she kind of knows how to stack it up and navigate it, but still feel what she needs to feel when she feels like she needs to feel it. And I don't know how to do that. Sometimes my feelings are misplaced. And yeah, because I've never went through this, like, personally. So yeah, it was just a lot. And then once the time came and the services came, I was just like, okay, cool. Got through the services, we laughed, we honored, everything. And then after, it's just like it was like a switch. I became paranoid. My anxiety hiked up. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to eat anything. I didn't want to be around anybody if it wasn't my daughter. And even then, when it pertains to my daughter, I was just like, I am extremely sad. I am extremely nervous and paranoid, and my anxiety is all up. Like, let her come sit in here with you. So I would send her in the room with my mom, or she'll sit in the room with my sister all day, because I'm very big on like transferring, like, and how, you know, like your feelings and your energy can brush off onto people. I don't want my daughter feeling like that. I don't want my baby waking up and not knowing why she feel like, you know, something wrong with her. And yeah, but I think one of the good things about grief and trying to navigate is having a good village behind you. And not even a great ass village. Like, my people show up, and I'm like forever thankful for them, and I can never thank them enough. Even outside of losing my dad, they showed up for me day in and day out and day in and day out, and I could never repay them enough. I could never, like, I feel like the things I do isn't enough, even when they're like my end, literally, like, you just showing up and just coming to sit. Like, having a village behind you is something so beautiful, especially when you're going through grief. Or I had a bad, I'm not going to say a bad labor and delivery, but like the aftermath of me giving birth, I needed a village, and they were there every step of the way. So it was just like, I know that I have them. And in this time, in that time, no one ever missed a beat. So yeah, as of right now, I'm in therapy. I had one therapist, and I was talking to her, and I was just so focused on like just things with my dad that I didn't let her into like other parts of my life. She decided that she wanted to leave, but she had, like, you know, whatever was going on with her, and she moved me over to another therapist. This therapist, I talked about my dad, but I'm also more open to other traumas in my life. And like I said, my birth story, did tell her about that. But grief comes with that, trauma comes with that, just like it does with this. And I just feel more open. So I feel like getting a therapist has really helped me a lot. And it was through my insurance. Best thing ever. Okay, a lot of people can't get therapy because like they don't have like the insurance to do it. But like if you do, take that resource, go get the therapy that you need, babe. Like, don't hold back. Okay. So yeah, she's been helping me navigate. She's actually on break, so I'm not going to see her until next month. And it's so much happening and going on around me, and just like I'm going to dump as soon as we get on the call. But she always tells me, like, when you speak about your dad, don't just offer up, say, yeah, my dad died. Talk about who your dad was while he was still here, and that kind of helps lighten or like soften the next part of you telling somebody, but like, yeah, he passed away, you know. So I feel grief doesn't have a time, a place, nothing. I can be so happy-go-lucky, and then I see little things like anything that has to do with Charlie Brown, or like I see a Diet Coke, or I see literally these smallest things can trigger you if you don't have a full handle on it. I mean, it could trigger you even if so, because like you immediately think of that person. And for the longest time, like I went into Home Goods, it was still fresh. I give myself grace there. It was still fresh. It probably had to be like maybe 2 weeks. Since, you know, like the funeral and everything. And I went into Home Goods, and it was fall, and they had a ton of Charlie Brown things. Immediately broke down in the middle of Home Goods. Just like, okay, like, hello, let's back it up. Let's get it together. But things like that, I could see it now, and now I can smile. Or I could be like, you know what? I want to feel comfort. I want to feel like my dad's near me. I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch Charlie Brown. I'm going to sit and, you know, like, watch a show that he liked, or things along that line. I feel like part of me does hold a little something against my dad, which is also something that I want to talk about in therapy. So I'm not going to dump on you guys. But I feel like I do feel a little something, because I feel like it's always in God's plan what he has for your life. And, you know, but I feel like my dad could have did more towards his health. Like, yeah, he stopped eating certain things, eating a certain way, taking care of him, but you still need those meds. You still need to go to the doctors and get the checkups that you need and all that. And like, he didn't do it. I don't know. It's just it picks up at weird times. And I did see a post on Instagram. I logged into Instagram literally probably like 2 days ago, and it was like, it's okay if grief and happiness take up the same space, or something along those lines. And I'm like, yeah. I think people tend to forget that grief doesn't fully go away. And yeah, I know I'm only almost a year in, but to some people, like, by now you feel like you should be cool, like you should have like your little moments. It should never be anything crazy. But grief doesn't go away. You just kind of learn how to work around it. So grief is like this little ball, and then you have to navigate it, work around it. I do feel like a part of me left when my dad left, and that's okay. He was my dad. He was my best friend. He was the person that I turned to when I feel like I couldn't talk to anybody else. And I feel a sense of loneliness that I've actually come to terms with. And it's just like, it's because you just don't have your dad. And that's okay. Like, I have a beautiful daughter. Like I said, I have an amazing village, but it's okay to still feel like you're lonely as long as you're not fully acting on it. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. It made sense in my head. Thanksgiving of last year, he passed in September, so obviously Thanksgiving is in November. Yes. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go the day before Thanksgiving. I'm gonna go see about, like, I'm gonna go check on him. And I have the GPS on, but I go past the place and then I go past again. And I guess that was a sign to be like, Divine, you're not ready to go. But I still went anyway because I'm hard-headed. And I was like down bad. Didn't eat, didn't have an appetite, was very moody. And I felt like it took me so long to get out of my moody girl era just for me to get back in it. But obviously this time it's like a reason, but who wants to go back in, you know? I feel like with grief, you just take things one day at a time. If you are into any religion, talk to God about it. Hello, Lord, it's me. I was beating down the door every chance I could, okay? Go to mountain prayer that we have at our church where you could come and you could pray for 20 minutes if that's all you have, and then you could stay for service if you want to. If you don't, go home. But I was beating down an 8 o'clock prayer every chance I got. I was beating down God's door every chance I got. My anxiety was so bad. I was just like, Lord, just like help me. I know, like, I feel it arising. Just take it. I don't want it. I don't want to hold that in me. If that's the path that you're on, talk to God about it. Pray to God about it. You know, if you're not into God and you're into the universe, go and talk to the universe about it, baby. Do what you have to do to help. I started journaling. I got my therapist, like I said. I know it sounds really stupid and I still have to learn how to practice it, but when they say moving around helps, because when you're sitting, that anxiety is sitting. When that anxiety is sitting, that grief is sitting. At least if you are walking, listening to music. I talk to myself. Never cared. My grandma always said, you can talk to yourself, but when you start answering, that's when it's an issue, okay? My light cut off. Oh, that's so ghetto. Anyway, we're still gonna keep it popping. Yeah, like, get moving. It helps. It just does something positive for you. Gravitate towards what makes you comfy. When I would have, you know, like, my episodes is what I call them. I have a back massager, like a portable back massager. Put that on, lay in my bed, and play a game, okay? And with the window cracked so I could get some, like, outside fresh air in, mellowed me right out. You have to find ways to push through it so you can get through it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I sound like I'm talking to my therapist. I don't know. But yeah, grief is hard. Grief sucks. Losing a parent is hard. Losing a parent sucks. But we are going to push through it and get through it, and just know that although grief feels like this, it's really, and you can get over it. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Sorry if this was very all over the place, because sometimes talking about it, my mind is all over the place. If you're going through this, I pray for you. I pray for healing for you, for a sound mind, for a calm heart. And just happier days with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.